club.
Mm-hmm.
And you had to be able to play everything to play in there. So they were playing R&B, all the latest stuff from the R&B artists, the reggae hits that were happening at the time, some calypso. You had to play a wide variety of stuff to play in that club. So I played in the house band there, which at the time it was an after-hours club, and I wasn't supposed to be in bars where they were serving liquor anyways because liquor age was 21 back then.
And how old were you?
17.
Okay, you left that out for a minute there. Okay, go ahead. So how you and Jackie hook up them times there?
I can't remember how I met Jackie first. It could have been around that scene,
mm-hmm.
right? Because there were some other people from back then, Joe Isaacs, Leroy Gale, or Otis Gale, as
mm-hmm.
people know him today. And there was a guitar player named Lynn Tate. At the time, I didn't know how influential he was, right?
Yeah.
Because to me, I was just a kid, and I was just looking at this guy, and at the time, like the people that impressed me were Hendrix and so on. So like I really wasn't all that impressed with Lynn Tate at first, right? Then I heard him play like jazz and other. I said, wait a minute, this guy can really play, right? But I met Jackie, and he called me just like, say, hey, we're going to the studio, and I'm okay, cool. What are we gonna record? He's recording some albums for the Canadian Talent Library at the time. There was a label called CTL. I forget who used to run that. You might remember more.
It was a government.
It was a government thing,
funded,
right?
Yeah.
Initiative. So, like my first time in a big studio was with Jackie Matu, and it was at the what was then known as the RCA Studios.
Granby Street.
Yeah,
Granby
down off of College there. Yeah, it was like state of the art. They recorded like huge orchestras and stuff in there. So I walked in and I was like, just like, never been in the studio this big. Anything I was in before that was like Captain Audio, was like a 4-track place in the basement, like. So that was my first time going to a big studio, and we were playing songs that I had to read charts for. It was like standard stuff. We played stuff like Ebb Tide, Green Sleeves, Misty, like standards, reggae-fied, right? And since I grew up playing more funk and rock, I had like no concept of like, standard jazz chord progressions, like, 1, 2, 5 or whatever. I had no idea. But I did know what chords were, right? And I knew how to read charts. So that kind of saved me. I didn't say anything. One thing I've learned from back then is this: if I get called to do a gig, I never turn it down. Let them fire me. Right?
Yeah.
But I'm gonna go and give it my best shot.
Yeah.
Listen to some stuff ahead of time and go down and give it my best shot. So I did about 2 or 3 albums with Jackie, and I remember once we opened for Barry White and a group called New Birth. New Birth was one of my favorite funk bands, right? I'm like, wow, I just played the gig for free just to see those guys, right? And after we played our set, right, we were the opening band. We were playing like all these standard tunes, like jazz standards, reggae-fied, right? Jackie is like a phenomenal jazz keyboard player. And a lot of people think of Jackie Matu as, reggae, ska, that kind of thing. Yeah, he did that because that was music of the time. But if you listen to his personal record collection, it was Jimmy Smith, McDuff, all these guys. He had that stuff inside out. He could play pedals. He could play like, the best of the jazz players. So anyways, we played the set and I went to the bathroom. This is in Massey Hall back in the day. So I heard 2 brothers from Detroit talking and say, hey man, what the fuck them dudes be playing up there? Another dude said, man, fuck, I don't know. Sound like elevator music to me. I'm like, damn, I'm not in the band. Because it was such a soft tabloized version of reggae that we had to produce to make it palatable to CBC airwaves.
Right.
You know.
Right. Right. Yeah. I did it. So you were playing reggae light.
Reggae ultralight.
Oh my goodness. So when you're on tour, a couple of times you come back and you're sitting with Messenjah. What's your Messenjah?
The Messenjah experience?
Yeah.
Well, Messenjah sort of evolved out of a group that me and my brother started prior to that called Inner Flame. And then he went to Kitchener and hooked up with Errol Blackwood and drummer was it Skip and Hal Dugan and Babyface. I never went by the nicknames, right? Babyface.
Yeah.
And they did an album that they produced for Warner Brothers. Then they wanted to do something after that. They wanted to change the sound a little bit, so they brought me in as a producer. So I wound up producing, I think, what, four of five of their albums. Yeah. So I was like the invisible guy in Messenjah. Like I played on the records, but I never toured with them. I never played with them on stage because I had already started playing with Toots when Messenjah started. So I couldn't, balance both things. But I liked working with Messenjah because they had a very progressive approach to reggae. And, of course, my brother's in the band, and I liked the writing. And also at the time, the original Messenjah, when Errol Blackwood was doing most of the vocals, they had a really unique sound because Errol had a kind of a Marley style voice, right? And bass player who can sing. I really thought they had something special going on there that none of the other bands were really putting out at the time.
It almost came too early because I think in the 90s, the 80s albums sounded more 90s in terms of what they were doing was more progressive.
Yeah.
It didn't get understood until later, but yeah, they were tight.
Yeah. And they had a very good stage presence.
Good sound, good presence, good everything.
Were they, I think, the first reggae band to be signed to a label?
To a major. Yeah. So those are two firsts where my brother's concerned.
Crocodile and
Messenjah.
All right.
Two different genres.